Mets and Knicks were in Game 5 when O.J. started that fateful drive. His four-way hazard lights were blinking, and no one knew what the Jews was thinking.
I've been to Reno, Chicago, Fargo, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota, Wichita, Tulsa, Ottawa, Oklahoma, Tampa, Panama, Mattawa, La Paloma, Bangor, Baltimore, Salvador, Amarillo, Tocopilla, Barranquilla, and Padilla, I'm a killer. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Crossed the desert bare, man. I breathe the mountain air, man. Of travel I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere.
This is Oversight Live, your advocate for good governance. We're putting the site back in. Oversight. Here's the watcher on the wall, your host, Ben Carpenter.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Oversight Live. I am your host, Ben Carpenter. It is Friday, the 10th of April, 2026. Thank you for joining us tonight. Oversight Live exists because I created it not too long ago. It's a fairly new program, and it is my brainchild, though. I spent some time in the legislature, 6 years to be exact, in the Alaska State Legislature, and it was very clear to me that not many people make it to Juneau to watch what's happening in our state capital. Well, that's because you got two options to get there. Either take a plane or take a ferry. And both are cost prohibitive for people, both in time and money, to be able to get down to Juneau and see what's happening regularly. Well, that lack of a road so that most people can drive is a barrier, but it is not a valid excuse for not understanding what's going on down there, in my opinion. Technology is what it is today, and most of our meetings that we have down in Juneau, committee meetings or floor sessions, are all recorded and broadcast. But if you watch them, you may not understand what's going on, because sometimes the legislature is kind of like a foreign language. It's a strange beast to understand what's happening. So I created this program so that I could bring you what I think is relevant and timely content for you to watch and be able to ask questions and have a better understanding of what's going on down in Juneau. Not everything that happens and recorded are bills that are going to pass or are things that are, of the utmost importance. So if you've got questions and you're watching this show live, hit up the chat. We're broadcasting in YouTube, Facebook, and X. And if you're watching, pop me a question, say hi, and I'll do my best to answer the question. If you're watching the recording and you have a question, drop me an email at producer@oversightlive.com, and I'll do my best to answer your question there. So we're going to get started tonight. I didn't have a broadcast last night. I had a meeting conflict, and I was not able to be here in my studio to meet with you. So tonight we're going to review a meeting that happened yesterday in Senate Finance. This is the morning meeting, the 9 a.m. morning meeting from Senate Finance, and their finance senators are going to be having a conversation with Department of Education and Early Development. Education topic, okay? So I think that's important. Specifically, what they're going to be having a conversation about here is generally the concept of the capital budget and capital spending and what that means to the Department of Education, how they're communicating, what they're communicating to the legislature, and what is the legislature's responsibility here with regard to capital spending in Department of Education. Okay, so I think many people understand the budget being the operating budget and the base student allocation, although people don't understand what that is. It's just a formula. that's how you get your school funding for teachers and for operating expenses and curriculum and all the things that go into the education battle that happens every year. Capital spending is a little different. It's not operations. It's things like roofs and major maintenance items or deferred maintenance items. These are things that you'll hear the committee talk about. And anyway, I'm chomping at the bit to say some things, but I'm going to wait and review the meeting here with you, and what I want to say will come out. So let's jump over to Senate Finance. Their very big, long room. It's the only room in the legislature where the co-chairs of the Finance Committee have offices adjacent to the meeting room where they can just get up and walk to their office and then come back to the meeting room. They don't have to walk out in the hallway and go to their office and come back to the hallway. It's a unique situation. I guess I should say that there may be a couple of other smaller committee rooms that do that. House Judiciary has a adjoining room to the chairman's room. Maybe the House Resources. I don't know. Maybe my memory's slipping here too. Maybe they all do, and I don't remember. But I know they all don't. But anyway, so the Senate Resources room is a bigger room, and it's posh because the Senate Finance. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. The Senate Finance room is posh. It's big and long, and it's fancy looking, and the chairman have rooms adjacent to it. That's what I want to. That's the important part to get here. Okay, let's jump over to this meeting here. All right, you can't see that. Let's make it bigger. There's bigger, and we'll get going.
We're in the Senate Finance Committee room in State Capitol. With me today are Chairman Olson, Chairman Stedman, Senator Keel, Senator Merrick, Senator Kaufman, Senator Kronk, and myself, Senator Hoffman. The bond, the capital bill is at the printer, so we'll bypass that one and go to the only other item that's on today's agenda, which is a presentation from the Bond Reimbursement and Grant Review Committee. I invite Michael, if you can't pronounce your name, but come forward as the facilities manager, introduce yourself to the committee, and give us the report.
So just to tee this up here, we're going to be talking about school bond debt reimbursement. Okay. So there's a program that was created in statute that says and I'm going off memory here because I didn't review it before the show. If you assume school bonds, that the state will help repay those school bonds. Now, the statute also says subject to appropriation. So the school will like to say that, well, we passed these bonds and the state's required to pay them back. But sometimes the state decides they're not going to help with the bond reimbursement. When the electorate goes out and votes and says yes for a school bond, in the fine print there, it says this is subject to appropriation. So there's no expectation that the legislature always has the money and will always pay for school bonds. But that was the expectation from the administration or from the school districts, especially as they're having conversations about, hey, well, the legislature has to fund this school bond debt because they have in the past and they need to now. Okay, well, it's competing with everything else that needs to have spending. So again, this is the legislature. It has control of the purse and it gets to decide year to year what it's going to spend on. Doesn't really matter what statute you put in place to require it. The legislature has the authority to say yes or no. All right.
Through the chair, my name is Aaliyah Preston, and I am just here to move the slides. Heather Heineken is online and she will be presenting.
Okay.
Good morning, Chair Hoffman, Co-Chair Stedman, Co-Chair Olson, and members of the Senate Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Heather Heineken. I'm the Director of Finance and Support Services with the Department of Education and Early Development. Online today with me, I have Michael Butekofer, our Facilities Manager. I also have committee members, if they would like to introduce, I'll introduce them, and then later when they speak, we'll let them reintroduce themselves just for simplicity, because we are all over the state of Alaska. Online today, I have Brandon Anania. He is a public at-large member, and he is with the Cuspec School District. And then I also have Kevin Lyon, who is with experience in urban or rural school facilities member, and he works in the facilities department at Kenai Borough School District. And later joining us will be Randy Williams. He holds the seat of a member with a professional degree and experience in school construction. He's an electrical engineer at Respect. In addition to these members, we have Representative Elise Galvin. We have Senator Clayman. We also have Larry Morris, who is a member with experience in urban or rural school facilities management, and currently is the Planning and Design Supervisor at Anchorage School District. And Douglas Heyman, he's a public representative and administrator at Kenai Borough School District. We also have a vacant position that we're working on filling right now. Today, I will provide a brief overview of the Bond Reimbursement and Grant Review Committee, and it's commonly referred to as the BRGR or BRGR Committee. Next slide, please.
Important to have an acronym for your committee.
For the department's mission,
Bureaucratic requirement.
while school construction and major maintenance may not always be viewed as part of a student's daily learning experience, they are foundational. Our role is to provide the resources, structure, and oversight that ensure students have safe, functional environments where learning can occur every day. This work directly supports the department's purpose to provide information, resources, and leadership in support of an excellent education for every student. Next slide, please.
Slow your roll. Senator Stedman's going to get to this, and it's going to be a long meeting. I wanted to back up and just ask this question of you before Senator Stedman gets to his question. What do you think about this? This is the DEED's Department of Education's mission, vision, and purpose. An excellent education for every student every day. That's aspirational. Our test scores don't match that. So there's a disconnect here. There's a gulf, a gap, a chasm between the aspiration and reality, I think. So I'm asking the question of you. What do you think?
Support of an excellent education for every student. Next slide, please.
Senator,
This slide highlights.
before you proceed, Senator Stedman has a question.
Are you following those guidelines?
And this is the indicator for the bureaucrat who's before the finance committee that this is going to be a long meeting. Just one simple question, right? Again, the director that's before us is here to talk about bond reimbursement, not the overall Department of Education mission. So somebody is going to get both barrels, and it may not be fair. But let's just hold off a second. I've got more to say.
The guidelines to provide information, resource, and leadership in support of an excellent education.
And dealing with the, it says DEED exists to provide information, resources, and leadership to support an excellent education for every student every day. Are you following that purpose?
to Co-Chair Stedman, Heather Heineken for the record, we are following that with the resources we have available to us and with the membership we have.
Senator Stedman.
That's how a bureaucrat answers to give an answer that says, yes, we're doing what we can. We may not be getting the results that you think, but we're doing what we think we're supposed to be doing. Like, our job is justified. We go home and put our heads on the pillow at night and we sleep just fine.
No, we'll come back to that later on in the presentation because I have some doubts, serious doubts about that issue that we're working to rectify.
Thank you, Senator Stedman. Please proceed.
All right, slide 3. The slide highlights the Alaska Education Challenge and the department's 5 shared strategic priorities. These priorities focus on student outcomes, but it's important to recognize they would be difficult to achieve without safe, reliable school facilities. Whether it's reading proficiency, workforce readiness, or student well-being, those outcomes depend on environments that are operational, warm, and structurally sound. Facilities are the platform that make all of this possible. Next slide, please. Here are a few commonly used acronyms you may hear me mention today, just as a reference point. Next slide, please. Today's presentation will walk through the creation and history of the BRGR committee, the evolution of the CIP application, the committee composition, and both department and committee responsibilities. We will conclude with a summary of last week's BRGR meeting results and to highlight key changes moving forward. Next slide, please. The BRGR committee was established in statute under AS 1411-014 in 1993. It established a 9-member Bond Reimbursement and Grant Review Committee, and the purpose of the committee is to review the department's CIP priorities, make recommendations concerning grants and bond reimbursement project requests, develop criteria for cost-effective school construction, analyze existing prototypical school designs, establish a grant application form, establish a method of ranking grant projects, recommend to the board necessary changes to the approval process for school construction grants and projects for which bond reimbursement is requested, set standards for school energy efficiency that minimize long-term energy and operating costs. It provides the framework for how these responsibilities are implemented, defining the application requirements, eligibility, scoring criteria, and facility standards. Together, statute and regulations ensure the process is structured, transparent, and consistently applied statewide.
All right, so I just want to point something out here. I'm not in, and I'm thinking out loud here. It's dawning on me that you've got a committee that was introduced earlier, and I believe it's a bunch of bureaucrats on the committee. There were 2 Democratic representatives and senators, right? 1 senator, 1 representative, but it appeared to be the committee is full of school district employees. So you have an absence of private sector influence on this committee is what I'm getting here. I could be wrong, and I would stand corrected, but that's what I remember from the introductions that were made. If we expect that there is that we would want private sector influence in our, people that know something about business and the way that money is managed in the real world, not in government world, maybe for some outside the box thinking, some non-bureaucratic thinking, these would be committees that we would either want to have people on, or maybe we have to change statute to make it available for people to be on. Maybe the statute says, you just do some research here, and it says that the members of the committee are made up of certain members of the school district. Okay. All I'm bringing up is, don't expect your recommendations to be anything other than bureaucratic recommendations, because that's all that's made up of is bureaucrats. So don't expect change of the status quo or challenges or outside the box thinking. It's not likely to happen when you're asking a bunch of bureaucrats to get together and they're going to look at how they've done this in the past, and they're going to take the least resistance path forward. Okay. I don't mean to denigrate the service that people are doing here, but you are who you are. Like that's your makeup. That's your experience. That's the thinking that you have been trained and have grown up in, is this government bureaucracy. So that's what you're going to get. Okay. I would like to see more private sector influence in solution generation, in figuring out how to solve the problems that we have in our education system and in state government in general. But that requires somebody to volunteer to serve on a committee. It's not just about getting elected. It's also serving and doing some work to provide better advice and recommendations to the state.
Next slide, please.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I assume that there's a list that's put together of projects around the state, much like this K-12 deferred maintenance list that the legislature uses when they put together the capital budget for our schools. So is there a statewide facilities deferred maintenance list in prior?
I think Senator Stedman may know the answer to this question, but you can see that, or maybe you don't, maybe we can't see it. Maybe I can because I was there. Senator Stedman's trying to answer a question of which he's going to be responsible for providing an outcome or an answer to. And that is, how do we divvy up capital spend money? And he's looking for, how do I prioritize all of the asks that are out there with regards to deferred maintenance and building costs. In the back of his mind, he knows that there's a school up in the interior, out on the coast. I want to say it's in the Nome area, but don't quote me on that. Rural Alaska that collapsed, right? Or burned down, or both. Maybe there was another school that had a fire. maybe there's multiple. The point is, there's requests out there for a lot of different things, and he can't say yes to all of them. So how do we prioritize this? And he's asking for information. Now, I'm not sure whether he knows the question, because he's been there a long time. He's done budgets a long time, right? He's not a dummy. So he led this conversation. His first question was, "Are you doing this? Are you following this? This is your mission, your priorities. One of those priorities is giving information." And now he's having a conversation about the information that he's expecting the bureaucracy to give the legislature, to enable the legislature to make a good decision. Okay. So this is what you're going to hear for the next little bit here, is this trying to figure out if we're talking about apples and apples, or are we talking apples and oranges, or if I'm looking at the same list you're looking at, or which list should I be looking at? I mean, this is kind of, I lump this into the category of a little bit of dysfunction or mismanagement, because the administration, when they come to the finance table, they should have exactly what it is that the finance table is going to be looking for. This is not the first time that the conversation about debt bond reimbursement has happened. I don't know whether it's the first time that this director has had, and poor director, because this meeting's going to be brutal for her, but somebody hopefully knows. There was a meeting that happened last session. There should be some leftover slides from, maybe that's what they're doing, is following what we've always done. Anyway, this is an example of the how hard it is as a legislator to get information that you're wanting or needing to make good decisions. Sometimes it is brutally hard to get information from the bureaucracy.
Prioritized order?
Through the chair to Senator Stedman, there is a 6-year plan that is the statewide 6-year plan that is published each year, and that is the priorities that is provided to us from the school district.
Senator Stedman.
So are you going to submit that to the finance committee, or because I don't see a list of projects in your presentation.
Through the chair to Senator Stedman, that list is published annually online, the complete list.
It's published online. You can go find it. I'm here to ask for money. What the information you need, that's on the website. You can go find it at your leisure. That's what she just told him.
And then the CIP application lists are also published in November and then finalized through the process in March of each year. And those are also available online.
Senator Stedman?
So this list I'm looking at here, this State of Alaska Facilities Deferred Maintenance Prioritization List dated August 18th is what? Approved by Facilities Council, August 18th. Who's the Facilities Council?
Ms. Heineken?
I apologize. Could you repeat the title of that?
State of Alaska Executive Branch Facilities Deferred Maintenance Prioritization, OMB, submitted August 18th, 2005. Approved by Facilities Council, August 18th, 2005. Who is the Facilities Council? Does it have anything to do with you?
Ms. Heineken?
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you for the clarification. That is the list put together by the Department of Transportation. That is separate from the school facilities list.
Okay. And if we could have our staff or somebody get a hold of that particular list so we can see it here at the table would be helpful, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Stedman. Senator Keel?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So Ms. Heineken, you talked about districts submit a 6-year CIP plan, but that's not the application that leads to the major maintenance list we see ranked or the facilities, new school facility construction list we see ranked. Does this committee you're briefing us on today, do they go through those 6-year CIP lists or are those just informational for the department?
Ms. Heineken?
Through the chair to Senator Keel, those lists are informational lists that are reviewed at the district level and approved by their board and then forwarded to the state. So they're informational for the department.
Senator Keel?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So then, just so I'm clear on what you said earlier, when you said you had a 6-year list and they're published annually on the website, what do we call those when I click around?
Through the chair to Senator Keel, it's the 6-year plan.
Thank you.
I'm going to pull it up and give you the title. It's under the publications and resources, and it's under the application for, nope, I'm sorry, that's the application. That's not the published list. I apologize. It's under the reports to legislature, and it's the statewide 6-year plan is the title.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Keel. Ms. Heineken, please continue.
All right. I believe we're on slide 7, the BRGR evolution and key accomplishments. And over the past 30 years, the BRGR has established a core framework still used today. This includes the CIP application scoring methodology and ranking process, along with facility standards and maintenance classifications. The committee has also developed foundational tools such as preventative maintenance guidelines, condition surveys, and cost modeling specific to Alaska's unique construction environment. They continue to analyze existing prototypical school designs, recognizing the regional diversity, develop criteria for cost-effective school construction, and more recently have set standards for school energy efficiency that minimize long-term energy and operating costs. These efforts have created a system that is both structured and adaptive over time. Next slide, please.
Senator Stedman?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but I'm confused today. And that may be just a state of being this time in the legislative cycle. But so I've got a couple of lists. I just need to get straight on who's on first and who's on second, because there's a concern of the viability of these lists and the fairness. So we have the school major maintenance list that's online at DEED, Department of Education, Early Development. And they rank the school districts, and that's what we use in the creation of the capital budget for maintaining schools. And then we have other lists, like the one I'm looking at here, that has all kinds of put together by apparently DOT, that puts Mount Edgecombe and museums, which are under DEED, along with all the other departments. It looks like Department of Public Service, right on Department of Health, and maintenance list of all our major facilities. So I guess the question is, do I have a complete set of lists here, or is there different lists that you referenced earlier on that I should be looking at?
Sitting here, I just want to pull my hair out because this is the 10th of April. You're less than 6 weeks away from the end of the session. Why are we just now figuring this out? Like, this is not rocket science. It happens every single year. And I want to point to this as being an example of why things cost so much. Why does government cost so much? It's because of things like this. This is happening between two branches of government, right? The executive branch and the legislative branch are trying to work together here because that's what they have to do. Okay. Similar type of dysfunction is happening in every area of the government. And that just causes friction, and it causes things to have to be done more than once or take longer than they need to, or that type of thing. This is an example of why our government costs so much. And you can't just line item a cost out on the budget and cut something and say, we're going to solve the problem. We'll spend less. That isn't enough. That isn't good governance. Good governance is better management. It is from the governor on down, through his commissioners to his directors, responsibilities for better management. And this is an example. This is where you would start peeling the onion back, or you should as the legislator, and start asking some more questions, right? I mean, the expectation of the legislature is when you come here, you're bringing your information, you provide the information that's necessary for us to have a good conversation. And her answer is, oh, well, we publish that stuff on our website. Really? 0. You get 0. I can't do that though, because who's hurting is the schools at that point, not her. I guess you'd have to go back to the operating budget and zero out her office. It is, yeah, you're absolutely. This is very painful. This is why things cost so much and why it is so hard to get things done. Let me show you something really quick. I'm going to stop sharing this. We'll come back to it. I want you to see, I got to move this to the other screen because I'm popped up on the wrong screen. All right, add the image. Okay, so I'm looking at the DEED website, and I have not been able to find this report that she was asking for. And I've searched through all of their headings, and she's able to find it, but I don't know what she's looking at, right? I come down here to the CIP that they're talking about, and there's the 6-year plan. But when that comes up, it's just a template for people to fill out. The 6-year plan is a requirement for all districts submitting CIP applications. We go back up here for CIP is your capital improvement project, right? So districts are supposed to prioritize their own needs. They're going to submit this 6-year plan, but looking for it, you're going to have to call somebody and figure out. It's not clear where it is. She said that it's underneath reports. There's nothing that's reports. You go to finance, there's nothing, there's no heading for reports. You go to your data center and you click on it and you go, and there's nothing about reports. There are report cards, but that's not what she's talking about. Statistics and reports. Is that what it is? Nope. That's school performance. That's not, not what we're looking for. Data center. This doesn't have anything to do with, this is all performance related, not capital management, money management, finance, right? So it should be in finance and support services. There should be something here that you go to find. I don't want forms. None of this school finance. I want to know what she's talking about. That's why Senator Stedman doesn't have the information. His staff probably went and they're like, I can't find their CIP list. It's not on their website. She says it is, and she can click on it, but there's no way she can show it to them. Anyway, what I can show you, what I can show you is the documents that she's going to that they'll eventually get to. This is what they will eventually get to. Okay. Add that to stage. Okay. So make it a little bigger here. I'm going to blow it up and it's going to be hard to see. So this, you can see, is the major maintenance capital improvements projects, major maintenance grant fund list. Okay. So this is kind of what the Department of Education has put together, and you can scroll down here and you can see that this is as of 2026, scroll all the way over here, February of 26, and that's on their website. Okay. So that's the best that I can come up with on what lists they're going to be looking at. So just to give you a bird's eye view, they're talking about, we need a heading here to make sure this is the amount requested, amount eligible, any prior funding, the deed recommended amount. So that's the fourth category over. And then at the far right, you've got an aggregate amount. Maybe the important part here is the state share and the share from the district, right? Or from another funding source of some sort. Maybe it's federal money that's being appropriated there. So anyway, you go down to the bottom and you'll be able to see the scope here. It's $519 million, $500 million. Okay. There's no total on the state share portion. Somebody failed their job on that. Oh no, that's the aggregate. The state's portion is $400 million. Sorry. I take it back. Somebody didn't fail. Although there isn't a summary, a total on the aggregate amount. So the state's portion is $400 million. Their share, the other share is somewhere around $100 million. Okay. That's the scope of what we're talking about with regard to the major maintenance fund. Okay. And then it's broken down by location. Okay. So you can go and take a look, whatever location you're at, and see what it is that your district, your school district is saying that they need for major maintenance in their area. Okay. And that is found on the website that we were just at. Okay. Let me stop sharing this and then we'll look real quick at the, nope, not that one, this one. Gotta be quick. Okay. So this is the school construction grant fund. So we're talking amount requested over $500 million. Okay, $600 million. State's share $442 million, $35 million for the participating share. Okay. All right. So here's what I want. Here's what I want to point out. This is the larger conversation that never happens. Okay. Ready? Who pays for this? Who needs to pay for it? If we're talking about school construction, who needs to pay for school construction? If you're constructing a school in Anchorage, who should pay for that new school in Anchorage? Yeah, I mean, that's a legitimate question, right? So should the people in Anchorage pay for the school in Anchorage? Or should the state pick up the tab? All right, so I'll answer the question. Because we're going to go into debt to build schools, going to bond for it, the state has got a program that says, hey, we're going to help reimburse the bond, the debt that the local residents have voted in and said, yes, we're going to go into debt and the state's going to help with that cost. So yes, local residents are going to pay for their school because they're the ones that have to vote to approve the bond. The state is going to come in if it has enough money and help reimburse that. Okay. So now the state is using money that it has to spend that. So which pot of money are we going to use at the state level? Okay. There's no income tax. There's no sales tax. There's no broad-based tax. The poor and the wealthy are not paying for this. Somebody else is. So it's the oil companies through oil taxes, property taxes. It's business through corporate income taxes. It's a small other road taxes are probably earmarked for something else, but I'm just thinking about all the money that comes into the general fund, right? All your traditional taxes that are coming, it's not coming from the people of the state of Alaska. It's not coming from tourists who come in that would be paying a state sales tax. Okay. What it's coming from now that we have a reduction in the amount of oil money that's coming to us as in the form of revenue, it's permanent fund earnings. So permanent fund earnings are filling up our general fund, and that's where the money is coming from. So now what's competing with this need for $500 million in new school construction? Well, the operating budget is competing with it. And there are other capital projects that are competing with it. Okay, so that goes into the priority of how we're going to spend. What are we going to spend? We're going to spend permanent fund earnings and tax revenue. So with regard to the tax revenue, that's not you and I, that's businesses. To the extent that those businesses pass on taxes to you and I, then yeah, we're the consumer, so we end up paying the tax one way or the other. But if it's oil and gas, the taxes that they pay, consumers are outside the state, unless it's Marathon that's buying the oil. Most of the oil is going to some other user outside the state. So we're not the consumer of that oil. Somebody else is paying those taxes. So it's not us again. Okay. When the dividend gets reduced, and that's what the Senate is going to do. They say the House is going to pass us a $1,500 dividend, which is also could be a $3,800 dividend if the House agrees to pay the difference out of the savings account, the CBR. Okay. So the legislature says yes or no to that, and there's a larger dividend. The Senate, and we discussed this on Wednesday, the Senate press conference said they're going to pay $1,000 dividend. Okay. So now there's a $500 difference in the dividend. Okay. That hundreds of millions of dollars is the difference between, let's say it's $500 million. Okay. And there's no other competition in the capital spend. Okay. That takes care of most of your school construction needs. It would have covered all of your other needs on the other list, right? It's not, I'm just using it as an example because there's no way that education funding is going to get that difference, right? Because there's many other competing interests. The point that I'm trying to get at is if the permanent fund dividend is going to get reduced in order to pay for school construction, then who is paying for that school construction, for that debt? Okay. You can say that all Alaskans are taking the same hit because all Alaskans are dividends are being reduced the same amount. Okay. Great. It's an equal flat tax. But who's actually paying, who's actually hit the hardest to pay for those schools? It's your lower income people. Who gets to avoid any sort of cost for major maintenance, for new school construction? It's people who don't need the dividend, who are literally saying, yeah, go pay more, go build more schools. Go ahead and increase the spending in the capital and the operating budget. Just don't tax me. Just take it out of the dividend. And the people who hurt the most are the people who actually can use the money for the dividend. And the rich and the wealthy, they get to sit back and say, look, none of my disposable income's going to the size of government or the choices that we're making. So I'm happy. Government continues to grow, and those people are not involved in the conversation, because as long as the dividend is there to take, they don't care. They're not the ones that have to pay. It doesn't hurt them at all. Grow government, be wasteful, have long conversations, and be dysfunctional all you want. As long as I don't have to pay for it and somebody else can pay for it, I don't care. And therein lies the problem, and the direction, the pointing to the solution of this problem is that those people who have been successful in life, at business or their careers or whatever, they're able to step out of this whole conversation with regard to what is happening in government. They step out financially and they check out intellectually because they don't have to participate. The only people who are participating are the ones that stand to gain from the spending that happens with the legislature. If your business relies upon state funding, you better believe you're going to be involved because you want the legislature to keep spending. That's how I put food on the table and how I pay for my retirement, is through those government contracts. You better believe it that you're going to be involved. That's not the majority of Alaskans. The majority of Alaskans are working in this non-oil private economy, and you're the ones that could use the dividend. Those other people, the ones that don't care about the dividend and don't care about whether government continues to grow or this spending happens, they're relying upon you to pay for it. This is the structural problem that we have. It is a financial, but it's more than just a financial structural problem. It is a cultural structural problem within our state. We have people in the state of Alaska who are expecting other people to pay for the demands that they are asking of their government, waste included, bureaucratic waste included. I don't care. I don't need to have a conversation with you about doing a better job, because it doesn't hurt me. I can go to bed at night and not even think or care about the waste that's going on in government, because I don't have to pay for it. Now, if I had a tax and every year my accountant says, hey, you paid this much in tax or you owe this much in tax, then maybe when I'm laying down at night, I'm thinking, doggone it, that kind of stings. I wish that bill wasn't big enough, or it wasn't that big. How could we make this bill smaller so that I don't have to have tax? Again, I'm the one that's successful in life. I know a thing or two about business. The decision makers that are happening in the state government, they could use my experience, my expertise, but they're only going to provide it. The incentive is there only if they have skin in the game. This is the structural problem. It's not just a financial lever structural problem. It is a cultural structural problem that we have in the state. This is the fiscal disconnect between the voters and the cost and size and mismanagement of our state government. So Senator Stedman's going to do his best to figure out what list he needs to be working on with regard to the Department of Education's priorities. Is it this list? Again, two different lists. Here's ranking. February 2020, or maybe it's got to be February 20th, December 18th, November 5th. I don't know what year that is. This is fiscal year 27. February, December, November. Those aren't even in sequential order. I don't know what they're trying to communicate here, other than the numbers don't change. The numbers don't change. This is it. It's a one-page list. The numbers don't change. Why even put those columns there? What good is that information to me? I got 3 different columns with 3 different dates. They don't change. I'm just supposed to know that on 3 different occasions, this is the priority that we've had and it hasn't changed. What good does that do me? Okay, so Bering Strait is Deeds, Department of Education's #1 priority. Stebbins K-12 school replacement, $120 million. Then you've got top 3, Northwest Arctic Borough, Deering K-12 school replacement, $59 million. Cuspok School District, Jack Egnity Senior, K-12 school replacement in Sleepmoot, $40 million. Top 3. Top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. You have to go to the last 2 priorities before you get to the road system. Am I wrong? Lower Kuskokwim, Yukon, Lower Kuskokwim, Cuspok. Okay, so the top 7 priorities here, which you can do quick math to figure out what the dollar figure is. This is all Western Alaska. This is all rural Alaska. So what the the state Department of Education is communicating to the legislature is that our top priority here, who's hurting when the operating budget keeps growing and we don't have enough money for school replacements, who's hurting the most is the rural people in Alaska. Now, I'm not passing, at this stage, I'm not passing judgment. I'm not even addressing whether this dollar figure is justified. Like, I don't know what they're saying out in Western Alaska. Do we really need $100 million school for how many kids? Nelson Island, K-12. Oh, that sounds big. I don't know. Is that a dozen kids? I don't know. It's rural Alaska. It's 100 kids. If it's 100 kids, it's $1 million each for a school. Anchorage has got some vegetables that they want to purchase. $9 million for vegetables. $800,000 for vegetables. 3 sites. These are, I think, what I called portables in my when I was in school as a high schooler, right? You got a portable that you walk out to. I think that's probably what this is. Secure vegetables. I don't know. Anyway. Let's take a look at the other document that we looked at a minute ago and just do the same analysis. Just for quick review. Let me make it a little bigger for everybody to see. I'll scroll over. Quick review of the priorities. Same priority rankings here. Okay. As a legislator, I would look at this list and I would say, I'm not sure anybody's looked at this list recently, because it appears nothing has changed. I guess the first question I would ask is, what do these dates mean? What does February 2018 5? So this is obviously not a year. So this is three different months in the same year that we've looked at this and we've ranked it. And all 3 times they all come out the same priorities. So I don't know what value that is. Like if we looked at this 6 times and came out with the same priorities, would that mean more than if it was at 3? Why present this information this way? It doesn't make any sense to me. I get the ranking, but what am I supposed to do with 3 different rankings? Anyway. Okay, so you've got Craig City, number 1 priority, Galena, and this is for major maintenance, right? Craig Elementary School rehabilitation, Sydney Huntington Elementary School renovation, Sandpoint, Tri-Valley, Denali Borough, so in the interior, Iditarod area school district. And then you finally get to East High in Anchorage as your 6th priority. So again, here's the top 5 priorities in the state. If they don't get funded because they get consumed with the operating budget consumes more of the money that the capital budget doesn't have enough, right? Or somebody makes an argument that says, "Hey, we're not going to raise taxes, or we're not going to steal more of the dividend," right? We're not going to reduce spending elsewhere. Then these individual communities are the ones that suffer from the capital budget. And the question of who is supposed to pay. What is the amount requested here? $578,000 for rehabilitation. There's a renovation of $36 million. That's a big renovation. $36 million in renovation. From that other list, that about buys you a new school, doesn't it? Wish I knew the size of this Sydney Huntington Elementary and high schools. Oh, that's 2 schools. Okay, so you could split that in half. I don't know. I don't have enough information there. Otherwise, and all that's pertinent here is the amount that's requested is $36 million. So the top 5 for the rural areas, that's 36, 41, 42, 43, $43 million for the top 5, which are all outside of the metropolitan area, outside of the road system. With the exception of Denali, Tri-Valley, I don't know whether that's on the road system or not. Anyway, the whole point here that I'm trying to get us to see, and we'll go back to watch this thing here, but the important takeaway, in my opinion here, is to not allow the conversation to devolve into, well, we can't justify spending more on a dividend because we've got capital spending that needs to happen, or we've got operating spending that needs to happen, and therefore we just need to take more of the dividend. Because you aren't asking the question, who pays? Who pays for the projects that need to be done, and who's getting paid, and who should be paying? Of all of the bureaucratic waste and bureaucratic cost that goes into this, who should be paying for that? If you just take it from the dividend, then it's the people who need the dividend most that are hurt the most. And they're the ones that are largely not influencing what's happening here. But you got people from the bush that need help. They're not influencing what's happening in Juneau, other than their legislator, right? I got to share that screen or you're not going to be able to see it. And now push play.
The list of school facilities that I referenced earlier is the current 6-year plan. Not all of those projects or facility needs are in the major maintenance ranked list. The major maintenance ranked list only consists of projects that the districts have put forward that they are ready to, that they feel they're ready to have work done. The 6-year plan is looking forward at all the plans that they need over the next 6 years. So that's a separate list from the ranked list.
Senator Stedman.
Okay, and are we going to have anybody from DOT to talk about their prioritized list? At some point, we need to get a picture, Mr. Chairman, when I'm driving it, we need to get a picture of the deferred maintenance issues around the state dealing with all state assets, including schools, and the major maintenance list for the grant funds for schools, which we have, so the Finance Committee could get an overall view of the maintenance condition and have the discussion on appropriations on repairing our facilities. So there's 6-year plan, but we're also concerned about the 1-year plan.
I don't know what game is being played here. I'm not sure what game is being played here. Whether we're wanting to stick a finger in the Dunleavy administration, the legislature is trying to stick a finger, because this is not the first conversation in the last decade. This conversation happens every year. The Senate Finance and the House Finance want to see prioritized lists. So I'm not sure why we're going down this road. I think some of it might be we just want to stick a finger in Dunleavy's eye and point out that things aren't working well with the administration, right? They're dysfunctional. On the flip side of that, I think it's also the administration is dysfunctional. So the finance staff should know where to get this information because they had to get it last year. So I don't, something doesn't smell right. It doesn't seem right that Senator Stedman and his staff, who are always doing the budget, that is who controls the budget in the legislature, something doesn't make sense. They should know where to get this information.
Funding plan is what I'm trying to drive at. So if you could help with any of that, would be appreciated.
Ms. Heineken, do you have comments?
I mean, the other way to look at it is, if this truly is Senator Stedman's expressing his ignorance. I'm not saying stupidity, but his ignorance. He doesn't know what the list is. He hasn't seen the list. Well, this isn't the first year that they've had the list. So have we been passing capital budgets and talking about deferred maintenance and, banging our hands on the table on how much we need to take of the dividend because we need more deferred maintenance, and we have never seen a prioritized list? I mean, is that what we did last year? Maybe I'm giving Senate Finance the benefit of the doubt because I didn't watch this last year. Maybe they didn't do this last year. Last year, Senator Hoffman was the capital budget co-chair. Senator Stedman was the operating budget co-chair. So maybe Senator Hoffman didn't ask these questions. Maybe we didn't do it. Maybe the legislature just looked at and said, hey, you know what? We've got these billions for the operating budget, and we've got this fraction of $1 billion for our capital budget. And so we'll just find some line items and we'll divvy that money out. How did we do it last year? Okay, well, we'll just do that again this year. And we didn't give any more thinking to it. Maybe that's what it was. And now Senator Stedman's asking a question and be like, well, why are we spending money this way? Oh, well, what's the priority? And the staff is like, I don't know what the priority is. Maybe that's where we're at right now. Imagine that. Halfway through the budget cycle here, and we don't know what the priority of spending is for deferred maintenance.
Comments on Senator Stedman's statement.
Through the chair to Senator Stedman, I apologize, Senator Stedman. The only thing in the purview of the BRGR is
This committee,
specifically the major maintenance and school construction list that are the applications received from the district. So we would not be able to speak on the DOT list.
Senator Stedman.
And then if you can, I guess you're involved in the major maintenance list of schools. That's, I'm interpreting that correctly?
Ms. Hannigan?
Through the
Thanks,
chair,
Craig.
to Senator Stedman, yes, that is correct.
And that,
Schools only.
and that excludes Edgecombe and excludes museums?
Through the chair to Senator Stedman, yes.
Thank you, Senator Stedman. Please continue.
I believe we are on slide 8. The application and scoring process have been refined to rely more heavily on objective data-driven criteria, reducing subjectivity in how projects are evaluated. We've also expanded technical guidance, particularly around the energy efficiency and project standards. We've increased stakeholder engagement through public comments in coordination with industry professionals. The goal has been to improve consistency, transparency, and overall confidence in the process. Next slide, please.
On that list, where does health, life, safety issues rank among these 3 categories that are on the slide?
To the chair, life safety, unhoused students is a priority when a school doesn't have enough room for their students, and life safety is also one of the priorities. But unhoused students
She doesn't know.
tend to beat out life safety to make sure that there is space for all the students.
That's a BS answer.
Concern that I have, and I think it's the concern of the committee and concern of Senator Stedman, who's the chairman of the capital budget. He has to weigh, and this committee has to consider his recommendations on the other lists that are not under the preview of education, in particular the Mount Edgecombe situation, where we've had numerous individuals from this committee tour that facility. We've had the Commissioner of Education tour that facility, and I was informed this last week that Senator Stedman took our United States senior senator to tour that facility. And the conditions, I think, were explained as deplorable. So somehow the senator and this committee have to take those into consideration, because and we have legislation trying to fix that, but it's a monumental task, and it leaves a lot of interpretation to the individual senator in charge of the capital budget and to this committee. But please proceed.
Thank you, Chair Hoffman. Just to that note, I believe if we look at the SB 237 report, which is the report that is provided to you in February, it reflects a similar scenario at many schools around the state with the overall need. So I appreciate you guys putting the effort forward to address this need. I believe we're on slide 9 for the BRGR committee.
So I want to pause here, just to ask the question if everybody understands what they're getting at with the Mount Edgecombe school. This isn't the first time that Mount Edgecombe has been in the news. This has been a thorn in the side of our state for a long time. A lot of history here, right? But this is a state-run school. It isn't in a school district. It's a state-run school. It's the department that's giving this briefing, not this director, but this department, DEED, is the manager of the school. And what the legislators here are saying is that they have visited and they're calling the conditions of the school deplorable. Okay. So the state is supposed to be managing the school, and their perspective is it's deplorable conditions. It's a boarding school. Okay. This goes back to the conversation that I keep pointing to, right? We've got a management problem in this state, and you cannot solve a management problem by just throwing more money at the problem. When you have, let me make my face big so you can see. When you have gubernatorial candidates who've got all sorts of fancy opinions about how they think they're going to be the next best governor, the only one that matters in my mind, in my estimation here, and you can take it for what it's worth. I've never been a governor. I've only been in the legislature 6 years. I've only served in bureaucracy in the federal government and watched bureaucracy unfold and happen in the state government. In my opinion, the very top thing that we should be worrying about with our next governor is which one of you is going to be able to get a hold of, through people you hire, your commissioners, get hold of the management of this state government. Because we are mismanaging ourselves off a fiscal cliff. I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility to say that we've got $1 billion of mismanagement going on. I think it's very reasonable to say we've got at least $500 million of mismanagement going on every single year. I identified $300 million that was going to positions that were not filled. Now, that's not an exaggeration, but it is not completely the whole picture. Some of those 300 million are for legitimate positions that would be hired within the next 90 days or within the next year. Okay. But the point is, there are positions every single year. There are positions that are never filled, and that money is just waste. I'm not saying wasted. It is spent without accountability. You could say wasted. I don't know. The evidence of having to use a big slush fund like that, that is evidence of poor management across the board. Managers need this slush fund to keep greasing the skids of a system that's broken. So what do you want in the next governor? That governor has got to be management focused, improve the management of our state government. That is how we're going to get a less costly government. It's the number, in my opinion, it's the number one thing that you're hiring a governor for, is to manage the government. So which one of the governors is actually going to be able to follow through with better management of the state government? That's the answer that you need to have a warm fuzzy about. Which person's going to do it? You're going to let Click Bishop, who's been a commissioner, he's been a senator. I'm going to tell you, he's not going to fix the problem. He's going to keep going the way that things have been going. He's not going to fix it. He's part of the problem. You know, pick somebody that's got very little business experience. I don't know. I look at our list of candidates and I shake my head. I'm like, I don't know which one of these I can trust that I can point to say you're actually going to fix this problem and force people to manage better. I don't know that we've got it. I don't even know that the candidates are recognizing the problem. That's like the way to get elected in Alaska is not to talk about these types of things, because nobody wants to hear about that. So are we really having the conversation that we need to be having? Explain to me, gubernatorial candidate, how are you going to force the government, your administration, your bureaucracy, you're in charge now. How are you going to force it to be better managed? What are your ideas? What's your management philosophy? How are you going to implement this? If you can't talk about management styles, if you can't talk about things that you're going to do, like applying some sort of management process improvement, lean management, something, If you can't talk through what kind of strategy you would use, are you really going to do it? This is it. This is why you hire the governor. Anyway.
C is made up of 9 members as defined in statute. This includes the commissioner or designee, which would be myself, 2 legislative members, as mentioned at the beginning of the presentation.
Why are we talking about it again?
Public members, which includes expertise in construction, facilities management, and public includes reviewing district applications, verifying eligibility, applying the established rating criteria, and developing the statewide priorities list. We also ensure projects align with statute, are cost-effective, and meet facility standards. Equally important, we facilitate the public process, publishing proposed lists, conducting hearings, and producing the annual school capital project funding report required under statute. Next slide, please. So looking ahead, we're proposing some updates to the CIP application for FY28. One of the most significant changes is shifting from weighted average age to a facility condition index, or FCI. This allows us to measure actual building condition rather than relying on age as a proxy, which improves our ability to identify true need. We're also increasing emphasis on life safety concerns, ensuring that projects addressing structural issues, code deficiencies, and safety risks.
Okay, got to be fair. Give credit where credit's due. Looking at just an age of a building as opposed to the true need, that is a better, getting that reverse. If you're going to not look at the age and you're going to look at the real condition, that is a better management tool or a better management process than just looking at the age. Kudos for somebody for picking up on that and trying to implement that. It hasn't been implemented yet. That's what the proposed changes are. Hopefully it gets implemented.
Rise more clearly to the top. Next slide, please.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Keel has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the shift in the points because people always often look at the list and try to figure out why playground rebuilds sometimes come in above water systems and fire code or even new roofs sometimes, which is not to say kids don't need a place to play, but the prioritization sometimes raises some eyebrows. Can you talk to us a little bit about the first bullet there, about replacing weighted average age with facility condition index? What kind of qualifications do you need to put together the facility condition index on a school? Is that something a handyman can do? Do you need to be a licensed real estate appraiser, a mechanical engineer? What does that take?
Through the chair to Senator Keel, I'm going to ask Michael Budekofer, our facilities manager, to answer that question.
Michael, you have the floor.
For the record, this is Michael Budekofer to Senator Keel through the chair. The facility condition index is based off of the renewal and replacement schedule that we provide as a resource to the school districts. The facility staff at a school district can use that form based on the age of their facility and when the last time a system was replaced. Say the school was built in 1980, then they replaced windows in the school in 2000, that would be reflected on their renewal and replacement schedule. That's how we're approaching the facility condition index at this point. It can also be part of the district's condition assessment done by architects and engineers. So there's 2 ways to approach it.
Senator Keel.
Well, thanks, Mr. Chairman. So I guess you can have architects and engineers do it, but you can also have somebody with the procurement records assess the condition of the facility?
Mr. Beautiforker.
To Senator Keel through the chairman. The facility staff in the district are capable of doing this, yes, with their renewal and replacement schedule. And it's when the school was built and then when systems are upgraded in the school.
I might have spoken too soon. What I just heard was we're not going to use the age of the school as the factor. We're going to use the age of the components of the school. So the maintenance people, the procurement people, the administrators in the school are going to walk around with a clipboard and say, here's all of the major end items in the school: the HVAC system, the heater, the water tanks, the carpet, the tile, the roof, the AC unit. Well, they don't have AC units in here. You get what I'm saying? If they've got a cafeteria, the dishwasher, all of the components of the school, desks, windows, all of those, all of those, and they're gonna identify when they were put in and put an age on them, and then each one of those components is going to have a number, how old it is, and then that's going to be their gauge of the need for that school. So a school may be old, the building may be old, it may be built a long time ago, but it's already had upgrades done to the windows. So the windows are good. So that score comes down. We replaced the dishwasher 2 years ago. This other school over here, we replaced it 10 years ago. So you can see how, but it's all based on age again. And I don't know, maybe age is the right thing to say here, or maybe it's a maintenance oriented assessment of whether this piece of equipment needs to be replaced or not. Like it's a subjective question. So now you got to ask a human being to go properly manage this school and trust that human being knows. I mean, this is what proper management would be. If you went to your house, you go to your house and you look around and you say, well, I've been living here for a couple decades. What needs to be replaced? You might be able to come up with it. Common sense would say, yeah, I need to replace the carpet. I need to replace the dishwasher because it's old. The bureaucracy is just going to look at this in simple numbers. It's the least amount of work. It's just going to say, here's the age of these things and here's the score. And it's going to be based on age. That's all. Maybe that's the best that you could hope for out of a bureaucracy. But I don't know. I think Senator Keel's onto something when he's asking this question. I don't know whether he's coming at it from the same perspective that I am, but somebody should be that's qualified in ascertaining whether the quality of the thing, of the object, is actually, whether it's still got good useful life in it, or whether they're just looking at the name, the date on the back of the piece of equipment and saying, yeah, okay, it's 10 years old, so it's time to replace it. Right? I mean, that's the same problem we have with our curriculum. People are like, oh, this curriculum is a couple of years old, so we got to find new curriculum. Okay, stop. The quality manager doesn't just make that decision. The quality manager is hired to make the decisions to whether this piece of equipment or this curriculum really needs, using your discretion, using the data that you have available, really needs to be replaced. Okay. I think we're spending way too much money in the state of Alaska on replacing curriculum that doesn't need to be replaced. Not DEED's responsibility at this point. That's a decision that's going down at the school districts, or at least it's not in the school districts that DEED doesn't manage, right? Anyway, I'm gonna claw back just a little bit. Maybe we're getting a better understanding of quality of maintenance through this, but I'm with Senator Keel and asking wanting to know more about what their process is here.
And that includes roofs, windows, the electrical system, HVAC systems, all of those components of the school.
Senator Keel.
Thanks. That's helpful. And then I guess the next question then would be, is it flexible enough that if something's dying before its time, maybe you got a lemon, maybe, you know, the contractor didn't install it right, whatever, can it adjust for this thing probably ought to have 5 more years in it, but it's just dead?
With the renewal and replacement schedule, not so much, but with the, if with an assessment from an engineer, from a mechanical engineer, that could be adjusted.
Okay. So you're going to have, my ire is coming up here, right? A school district does not have a maintenance person that's qualified to tell the managers at every level whether a piece of equipment needs to be replaced or not. We don't have that capacity in our school districts. We would have to go hire a mechanical engineer to come in and do an assessment on the school. What, don't we have facilities people that we pay at our school district? Don't the school districts have that? I mean, I guess maybe I should pull up the local school districts and start searching to see if they have facilities managers, or somebody does. Somebody has to have a facilities manager, whether it's the borough, if it's a borough building. But Deed is telling us that they're telling the legislature you're going to have to hire a mechanical engineer to come in to tell you to do an assessment. Or the easier way for us to do this is just do a paper assessment, and we'll just look at the age of this thing, and if it's old, then we'll put it gets a higher ranking. And Senator Keel's spot on. Democrat Senator Keel's spot on. What if this newer piece of equipment is actually garbage and needs to be replaced? That old thing, it's still humming along, and it's probably got another decade left in it because it was quality when it was built. This new dishwasher is a piece of crap. It came from China. They just said no. That won't be able to be done. We don't expect the people down there at the school to be making a common sense assessment or a maintenance informed assessment. We just want them to do the age of the thing and then report it to us, because we don't have people smart enough to make those decisions. That's what I'm hearing. You cannot tell me that there's room for improvement in the cost of our government when this is the best that we can do. That this is the best. This is real world. This is real life happening right now in this. Well, it's happened yesterday in Senate Finance, where our people that we've hired at the state level to figure out how to spend money on capital improvements, this is the best that they're bringing to us, the people. This is our government. The best that they're bringing is, the best we can do is just look at the age of the thing, and if it's old, we'll replace it. If it's broken but it's new, we don't have a really way to communicate that, so we'll have to wait for it to be old. I don't know. Maybe I'm being slightly exaggerating a little bit. If it's broken, then there's a way to communicate that to get it replaced. I get that. But what I'm hearing here, maybe they're just failing to communicate, and this program actually works really good. But what those decision makers at the table are seeing, what they're hearing, that's all you have to go off of. I'd be right with Senator Keel asking questions of this bureaucracy.
Mr. Keel, Senator Keel.
Well, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'm just, I appreciate that the department is trying to make some improvements. And one of the goals, I think last time we talked about this, ought to be to make sure that districts that have very limited resources can compete fairly for the dollars based on the actual conditions on the ground. So food for thought. Thanks.
I totally agree. Thank you, Senator Keel. Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just was wondering at what point we're going to have the discussion on with the larger, more affluent communities, which I have some in my district, that could pre-fund their major maintenance and then submit to the grant list automatically get ranked very high because the project's done or near done and paid for. And then leaving the poorer communities, which I have several of those also, that don't have the facility or don't have the financial capacity to go in and fix some of the issues in their schools and resubmit. They've got to get on the list and wait, and sometimes years on the list, and then finally run out of money and can't even reapply. So how do we rectify that? And what's your thoughts on the issue of pre-funding and building these maintenance issues and then submitting to the list?
Okay. At no point in time is the legislature, is Senator Stedman or Senator Hoffman or Senator Olson going to get into how do we find $500 million in waste in our government? At no point in time in my 6 years is that conversation happening. At no point in time, anytime soon, is that conversation going to happen. That is just as important a conversation as, well, maybe the local boroughs should be funding more of their maintenance. Let's kick this problem down to the local level, and they need to raise their property taxes more so they can pay for the schools, the school maintenance. Okay. Maybe that is what needs to happen in some communities. Maybe that is. Okay. I'll stipulate, for the sake of bipartisanship and finding a common ground. Okay. That if that is acceptable to you, to point down to the boroughs and say, well, those residents need to pay more, then what's acceptable to those residents is to point back at you and say, what are you doing about the mismanagement that is evident in our state government that's costing us so much money? If you were to cut out $300 million in mismanagement, that's $300 in mismanagement we don't have to pay for this year and next year and the year after that. That's a $300 million raise in money that is available to be spent on things like this. But because you don't address the management issues, it's costing us every year. It's like the interest you pay on carrying debt on your credit cards. You're making the minimum payment. You're not paying it off. And that minimum payment is paying for interest. And that interest is taking money out of your pocket that you could be spending on groceries or on school clothes or on whatever it is that you want to spend on in your life. We're paying for waste in our government. The evidence is sitting right here in front of us with the communication that's happening and the things that are being highlighted if you know what to look for. That waste costs. It costs. And what it costs is a new boiler for a school, a new roof for a school out west in your rural communities. What it costs is some well-to-do person sitting on the Senate Finance that says, well, those people down there in those boroughs, they need to just pay more money. They need to raise their taxes. It costs you, and it needs to cost you. This mismanagement, it needs to cost you. We need to be upset. We need to be, the people of Alaska need to demand that their government manage itself better because it costs us. Who does it cost the most? Those that get the PFD taken that could really use it to buy groceries or to buy new tires for their car. They could pay their taxes with it. The wealthy people sitting at this table, most of them, if not all of them, retired people, if they don't have the dividend, it doesn't hurt them. So dealing with this waste doesn't hurt them. Not dealing with the waste hurts the people who could use the dividend. See the imbalance, the structural imbalance that we have? It's not just a financial lever. It's a culture that exists sitting at this very table. They're never going to ask the question about what the administration is doing to fix itself. Not in big terms. Senator Keel's stumbling around the edges here when he's talking about this. The budget conversations in 6 years that I've been in the legislature, never. Let me make this even more clear. The subcommittee process, I think we watched one subcommittee process here not too long ago. The only thing that comes to the legislators in the subcommittee process is what the administration is bringing to the legislature in their budget ask of the adds and subtracts from the budget. So what are we subtracting? What are we asking for more money for? That is it. That is all the subcommittee process is looking for. When the subcommittee process is over and they have their recommendations, whether they say yes to this spending or no to this decrement, they call them increments and decrements, this add and subtract. Whether those legislators say yes to it or no to it, those recommendations go to the finance committee, and the finance committee reviews all of that and they decide what goes in the budget. Nobody is looking at the programs themselves. Nobody is looking at whether the programs are doing what they're supposed to be doing, whether they're efficient or not, whether there's waste or not. Nobody is looking at that. It's only looking at what the requests are in addition to what last year's budget was. Real world, this costs you. This poor management costs you. And you can probably count on one hand the times that you'll hear the conversation happening in the legislature, in the committees that it needs to be happening in. The solution to this problem is people who have no interest in going to Juneau, but who have the expertise in management, raising their hand and saying, I will go and I will do my time either as a legislator or I will go as a commissioner, as an appointed member, and help fix this problem. That's probably first of the solution. We need better thinkers in our process. And the structural problem is that those thinkers are not incentivized to participate, because if they do, some of them are tied to the spending, right? But if they do, they might have to come back with some solutions that say, hey, we're going to need some sort of tax. Why would I do that if I'm going to have to pay more, right? It's a structural problem we have. The way we don't spend more is to fix this management problem. All right. I know that this is a painful meeting, and I think this is I've had about enough that I can handle for tonight. I think I've made my point. I think we've seen what we need to see. The finance committee is going to go through this, and hopefully they're going to get some priorities from the Department of Education, and maybe they'll have a better product this year. Lisa says the Fairbanks North Slope Borough already taxes property owners for school. Yeah, all of the boroughs do. One of the problems is you have unorganized boroughs in those school districts, those schools that are out there that we saw that are top of the list, unorganized boroughs in some cases. I'd have to go look and see. But if they are in the unorganized borough, then they're not paying property tax for their schools. That cost is coming from the state. REAA costs. Anyway, I want to get back down this start down that rabbit hole. But there are people living in the state of Alaska who are benefiting from schools who do not pay property tax for their schools. That is a true statement. There are people who are paying property tax. Senator Stedman is pointing out that maybe those people need to pay more for addressing some of this issue. And I think it's a legitimate request of those taxpayers to come back and say, well, how are you fixing the management of the school, of the schooling system and the state in general? Because that mismanagement that you are allowing to happen costs us money. Well, I would stand out in the race, Lisa, because my hat is different than any other hat that's going to be worn there. But I'll be honest with you. I don't think Alaska is ready for the message that I would be bringing. It would be a waste of my time at this point in time, I think. I do not think Alaska is ready. Not the right people in Alaska are ready. And I kind of am of a similar philosophy of Michael Dukes the other morning. I think we're just going to have to run off the cliff and it's going to have to break before people are willing to address the problem in any meaningful way. That's what 6 years of experience in the legislature tells me. I think this particular meeting is awful, Craig. It is highlighting some major problems that we have within our state government. You know, this is not a bad idea, Craig, to privatize the school system. I think forcing the bureaucracy to fix itself through a different model we could benefit from. Another structure might be to get rid of this foundation formula, the BSA formula, and just have school districts submit their spend requests to the legislature every year. Their deferred maintenance list and what they're going to actually spend on maintenance versus what they're spending on their operational budget. I mean, this is going to require that would require the legislature to actually start doing their job and looking deeper, and they don't know how to do that right now. It's exercising muscles that they wouldn't know how to do. But in essence, that's what the private sector would do. If you were privatizing business, that's what they would have to do. So you could force the school districts to submit that and then expect the legislature to do that. I don't know. Maybe I'm answering my own question. Is the legislature's not capable of doing it? But I think privatizing the school system may be a legitimate fix to this. I mean, it's not a legitimate political fix because you don't have the votes to do it in the legislature. The NEA and the other unions are going to come unglued if you try to do something like that. I'm just looking at your comments here, scrolling back up to see if I missed anything, any questions that I could answer. I think that's it for questions. Anyway, I'm glad we were able to review this meeting. There's probably other meetings that will highlight a similar. Well, I know there are others that would highlight a similar, but what you learn in your finance committee meetings sometimes is an aha, like, man, I didn't realize that. It still is boggling my mind that the possibility that Senate Finance doesn't know what the priority list is for the school districts, and that could be a thing. Like the institution, the staff within the Senate Finance didn't know where this priority list was. Either they forgot where it was from last year, or they just have never had it. I mean, that's a problem, don't you think? mean, it's evidence of we're not really looking at the things that we should be looking at when we decide to put a dollar figure into a budget, right? Again, people that are good at doing budgets in the private sector, they need to step up and help the legislature do good budgets, or you're just going to continue getting this. All right, folks. I'm going to call it an evening. Thanks for joining. If you want to support the show, please go to OversightLIVE.com and click on the support link, the donate link, and donate to your heart's content. That'll help me be able to do this and not go get another job. Appreciate your support. Like and share on social media. Let's spread the word about what we do here. Again, if you've got questions, drop me an email. There's something you want to see, and I've already received feedback from a few of you on committees that you would like to see. And with regard to what happened in the Veterans Committee and Representative Gray, I don't know whether I really want to critique that one too much. Like, I guess it would be fun, but I would feel like I'd be dogging on him for no good reason, because he's just had an emotional outburst, and you're not going to fix that unless you're going to unelect him. And I don't know, to be honest, his emotional outburst, probably not dissimilar from some of my emotional outbursts when I get angry and get frustrated with something happening. Maybe it doesn't look the same, but I've had moments where I'm pretty frustrated on camera. You can probably find that. I can remember a couple times when Bryce Edgman shut down debate or was was being a tyrant at the podium there on the House floor, that I got pretty heated. I don't know whether it rises to the level of emotional diarrhea that you saw in the Veterans Committee or whichever it was. I'm not sure which committee it was. Anyway, yeah, okay. We will see you Monday night. I want you all to have a good weekend. Should be good weather. Yay for the Artemis mission. They made it back safe and sound. I saw the pictures. Good for them. It's always fun seeing the space program take off. All right. We'll no baby cows yet. Somebody was asking about that last week. Or last meeting, sorry, 2 days ago. My daughter's got 2 heifers that are bred for the first time. And this is an outgrowth of 4-H projects. She's already graduated high school. And anyway, so she wants to continue raising cows and be in this agriculture industry, right? So this is the beginning of her herd. She's got a purebred Hereford that she has AI'd and has spent some money doing this and is going to start her herd. I told her she also needs to look for a hayfield. She wants to do this long term. So what one of the steers that she has that was pregnant lost their baby. It was actually twins, and that was an unfortunate incident that happened today. I think the cow, the heifer, is doing fine, but we'll see. She's not out of the woods yet. The other one is, and that heifer wasn't due for a couple months, so that was a shock to us. The one that is due on the 14th in 4 days, we're watching around the clock because it's a first time for her and first time for us. So anyway, we're learning and we're excited. I'll bring some pictures and fill you in when when it happens. Anyway, that's it. We're done for the night. Have a great weekend.